Welcome back to our special America Decides Election Night special. I said special twice, all right?
It's okay. It is very special.
It is. We've talked a lot this election cycle about different demographics and really how each candidate has been working to target them. Of course, one of those critical voting blocks is Latino voters. Journalist and producer Soledad O'Brien joins us now on set. Ed O'Keefe is back with us as well.
So, Soledad, let me begin with you because you recently put out this incredible documentary that looked into how there's a fight for Latino political support on the airwaves. But what I'm always fascinated by is, and I've had this conversation with a lot of people when it comes to not just Latinos, but African Americans too, that if you are black or you are Latino, you're not going to necessarily fit into the bucket of what people consider Latino or black.
Right.
We're not a monolith.
Yeah. And I feel like people have been yelling that for a really long time. Not a monolith, not a monolith.
Right.
And it might be actually this election cycle that tells people not a monolith. And I think that's really important. We also talk about the power of the Latino vote just because of sheer demographics. And now I think, again, this might be the election cycle where you see the power of the Latino vote just because the number of new eligible voters, half of those are Latinos. I mean, that is massive. And also, of those new voters, they vote 80% of the time. I mean, that is, again, the impact of that is huge. So not a monolith and also just potentially could have a real change. This rally, I think, had a big impact, of course.
The one in Madison Square Garden. Yeah.
I want to talk to you about that in a second. But first, as we're keeping in mind not a monolith, what are some of the issues that you keep hearing again and again that are driving Latinos to the polls?
Often people will say immigration. I've been on 10 gajillion immigration panels, and they're like, actually, economy, and in their inflation, kind of under economy. But in a recent poll by Univision, which I find really interesting, while economy, inflation, very high still, mid-high 80s, racism was emerging as an issue at 70%. I thought that was really fascinating. Healthcare for Latinos as well, a really important issue. So kind of the same as kind of any American voter, but I think that new appearance in this poll of racism, again, post this rally is sort of interesting.
Part of the reason why I'm glad we're here together is for years I've been telling people when they get confused, how are you Hispanic if your last name's O'Keefe? I said, have you ever heard of Soledad O'Brien?
We're the Irish thread.
We're the Black Irish
Latina name. So,
but it is, you're joking, but you're not. It's very confusing to people. And of course, Latinos have married a lot of across a lot of different continents.
And I think part of what this cycle, as you said, this is the one that's going to demonstrate again the power and the influence that we have in different parts of the country and in different ways. I was dwelling on the fact that it was Ricky Martin in Philadelphia last night that was more critical to the Harris campaign than, say, her being out in Las Vegas with other actors and performers that might be there, because it's a reminder that now there's enough in Pennsylvania, in other mid-Atlantic states, that they can throw elections one way or the other. And that's why they've been so intently focused on places like Allentown and Reading and Philadelphia.
And if you look at the swing states, that margin of victory, there are not enough Latino voters in each of those swing states.
But guys, even when people talk, so there's a lot made, for example, the former President Trump is getting black voters to his camp, right? But it's who are those black voters? Some of them may be folks who are naturalized Americans from African countries or other places in the Caribbean that are not African Americans. In other words, multi-generational black Americans living in this country. Perhaps they're breaking for Kamala Harris. But if you are if you are a first-generation person from Nigeria, you maybe don't want to see the chaos at the border as the way the president has painted that. So that's why it's so interesting to dig into those numbers.
And I think one of the challenges we all have going forward in covering politics is algorithms for different voters are so different. Your algorithm's different than mine, is different than yours, is different than yours. So we can't see, unless it's shown to us, what it is those voters are being, sent by campaigns or by those that are influencing information. I tell the story about seeing this ad on my way on the train to Philadelphia a few weeks ago of this black guy telling other black men, you've got to vote for her. Why wouldn't you? She reminds us of our aunt. She reminds us of our mother. Why wouldn't you vote for her? The only reason I saw that ad as a brown guy watching my Hulu app on the train to Philadelphia is because it was being sent to me via stream and it wasn't being aired on broadcast television. If I hadn't been watching at that moment in that space when they were looking for people like that with my background,
like you,
I wouldn't have seen it. So when I told the campaign, they said, oh, you got it because we were targeting you. Wow. And it's impossible now for us to really get a sense of what it is voters are seeing if we're not seeing those.
But it's been interesting to see what doesn't resonate in our documentary. We could see that I guess I'd call them social issues, or maybe it's more like social chaos, right? Talking about trans kids way outsized of the actual impact of the issue, talking about who's using what, did not seem to really resonate with Latino voters. And some of the polling around abortion, I mean, you're looking at Latinos, overwhelmingly Catholic, religious. Actually, it's kind of a mixed bag, far more mixed than you might think, sort of if you were just going to guess at what the polls might show.
My parents are immigrants, extremely liberal. They're not getting behind a lot of the issues that are facing LGBTQ people or trans people. So it's really interesting.
All right, Soledad O'Brien and Ed O'Keefe, thank you both so much.
So good to have you here, Soledad. Oh, man, very happy.